You're listening to MinerTalk on demand exclusively on 600 ESPN El Paso. Stay up to date with MinerTalk by downloading the free 600 ESPN El Paso mobile app.
The following is an exclusive presentation of Team 600 ESPN El Paso.
All right, we are here. It is the first edition of MinerTalk, presented by Jack in the Box, along with our supporting sponsors, the Oscar Arieta Agency, 915 Tours Classic Elegance Coaches, the District West, 3233 North Mesa, and along with the whole gang, Alberto Reta, UTEP Zay, Sal Montes. We are back, guys. We are back. Welcome back to everybody. How's it going, Sal? What's happening?
Adrian, man, it's exciting. Super excited for this show, for the season. Right around the corner. Week 0 was fun, but when you get to participate in the party, it's a lot better. So, it's great to be able to cover UTEP athletics again, starting with UTEP football. So bring it on, man.
Let's do it, man. I always enjoy doing this show with you, Sal. This is year 4? Year 5. Year 5. No. Say it like it is. Year 5.
Yeah, it is.
Since 2019. What were we thinking back in 2019, man? We had some a lot of fun. We had optimism with UTEP basketball.
Gosh.
UTEP basketball had a charity exhibition game and beat Texas Tech, and there's a lot of optimism that year. Football 1-11 season. And here we are. Fast forward to 2024. The first season of the Scotty Walden era is about to get underway. UTEP football is getting ready. You just heard the coaches show. We were hoping to hear some news, maybe some breaking news about the starting quarterback job. But Alberto, as you predicted during Sports Talk today, the announcement was not made yet. This is just going to drag into possibly tomorrow, possibly Friday, but no announcement has been made on UTEP's starting quarterback.
Yeah, it's extremely surprising, and I guess I'll have to ask the question that I haven't heard anyone ask. Within the next 72 hours, what exactly is going to take place for you to choose a quarterback that hasn't already happened, right? So you're not going to practice. You're going to get on a plane tomorrow, and you're going to fly out there. What is one of these guys going to show you that's going to say, yeah, this guy's my QB1? That's what I'm wondering now.
I know. I feel like they've had this entire offseason, I think behind closed doors. If you gave some truth serum to head coach Scotty Walden, he'd probably tell you who the starting quarterback is right now. This is probably a tactic of trying to be a little deceptive, trying to be secretive toward Nebraska and their defensive coordinator. And, in what we might end up seeing with the Cornhuskers come Saturday. But in terms of the element of surprise, there is no surprise, just in my opinion right here.
Yeah, I feel like it honestly, it could be a bit of an advantage if you take this all the way up to the game, but it could also be a bit of a disadvantage. So many distractions, like we were talking about. This could be, this could be tough for the team, right? You kind of want to know. So I feel like he does know deep down inside. He has that gut feeling, and I guess we'll find out sooner than later.
Yeah, I think we're going to find out really quickly, Sal. We'll find out right away when it comes to Saturday's matchup.
Saturday afternoon, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who's taking the first team reps, the guy who's out there, and I'll ask you what I asked Steve. Do you feel like this is a distraction, or do you feel like this is helpful for UTEP?
As far as what the
starting,
QB
yeah,
situation?
keeping it quiet.
I don't know. I don't think it's a distraction as much as trying to get everything in place. It's a brand new system. There's so many bodies that are new. Forget the roster itself on the staff. There's so many new positions that we haven't even heard of. So I don't even think that it. Although it is a distraction for some people and for other schools it probably could be, it's just another drop in the bucket of preparing for the season. And I really believe he knows who it is. And the reason why I say that, I don't know him. I haven't talked to him, guys, just so you know. But the attention to detail is crazy. If you look on the website, all defensive players are in orange polos. All offensive players are in blue polos. There's so many new positions staff-wise. Basically, you have all of those details in. There's no way that a guy who pays that much attention to detail to his staff and team does not know who his starting quarterback is. I heard it earlier. Maybe he's a flair for the dramatic. Maybe so, but also it's bringing interest to the program, whether or not people agree with it. So it'll be interesting to see.
Hey, big shout out to all the people who are already tuning in to our first edition of Miner Talk. Big shout out to UTEP News. Anthony, big shout out to him. Big shout out to Hersum, who says, think it's Locklear, making a prediction with us here on Miner Talk already. Shout out to Chad, who's checking in as well off social media. And hey, you can interact with the show with us. Give us your thoughts on UTEP football, 915-505-6009. Of course, we'll be on here as soon as the game ends on our partner station, 95.5 KLAQ, with our edition of Miner Talk. We will go live on air here is 600 ESPN El Paso, and then we're going to go on demand and take all our off-air Twitter questions and X questions off-air when we go with an on-demand podcast, a little extended. You know that first Miner Talk, Sal? It's always a long one.
Yeah.
It's always one that a lot of people stay up for, a lot of people are excited about or furious about or feel some way about, but they just want to get their opinions out on UTEP sports in that first one, you know?
Yeah, and not only that, but football season is a whole other monster because it's the kickoff for UTEP athletics when it comes to nationally televised sports, so to say. This is no disrespect to the other ones, but this is kind of where the ball gets rolling. Starting basketball is cool, but you're coming off of football. Everybody's been hungry just for football in general. It's, 7-8 month delay without it. So, yeah, it might run a little bit longer, but trust me, we've done games where they played in the Diamond Hand Classic in basketball. So if it goes to 2 a.m., which I hope it doesn't, we're ready either way.
Yeah, we've done it. We've done it in the past, so it's not too new to us. Zay, I'll switch it back to you because there's a lot of storylines going into the Nebraska game. We talked about the biggest storyline of them all for UTEP football, and it is who's going to be the starting quarterback. It might not, if it's Skylar Locklear or if it's Cade McConnell, whoever it ends up being. I think a lot of fans and even the team members themselves, I think they're anxious to hear what the final decision is. But what are some of the other storylines that are out there right now, whether it's offense, defense, special teams like they call it with UTEP football now, quote unquote we-fence? What are some of the other storylines that have you intrigued?
Well, I think a lot of the storylines are going to tie back to who the starting quarterback is. And the biggest one for me is, what are we going to see from this offense? What's going to be kind of that split between pass and run? Are we going to see 60 pass, 40 run, or is it going to be 65 run, 35 pass? I really have no clue which way they're going to lean, and I just want to see how much they throw at Nebraska. Are they going to, throw the whole bag at them? All the tricks, everything. Or are we going to see kind of a tempered down version of Scotty's playbook?
Yeah, that's an interesting point too, right? Because there's an argument to be made that they shouldn't show anything on Saturday, and they should kind of focus their attention on Southern Utah. However, you heard Scotty Walden; he doesn't play these games to lose. He wants to be as competitive as possible, knowing that they're going up against a giant that is Nebraska. But the run to pass ratio for me is very intriguing, Sal, because I'm making a prediction right here that I think they're going to go 60% run, 40% pass, and maybe that ends up being closer to 65-70% run versus the pass. What do you think about that distribution that Zay was just saying?
Oh, it's tough because I want to say that there's two philosophies, right? You don't change who you are no matter what. You got to stay consistent with your philosophy, but there's also the philosophy of riding the hot hand. So it could, kind of teeter-totter, so to speak. But I'm kind of on that 65-35 pass to run. And the reason why I say that is because jet sweeps and jet touches, those count as passes. I wonder how many of those we're going to see, that are going to count in the pass category, even though it's technically just a rush from one side to the other. So
you've been playing a lot of college football.
I have, yeah. By the way, guys, my conference realignment is amazing. I'm going to do a stream on it later. That's a whole other thing. It'll take 10 hours. But yeah, I'm going to say 65-35 pass.
Okay, Alberto, I'll swing it to you. Your thoughts on this storyline, and then give me another storyline that you're looking forward to when it comes to UTEP and Nebraska.
Well, I think just on the subject you guys are touching, I think it's going to be a run-heavy offense, just because, in my opinion, this distraction that has been the quarterback battle hasn't really allowed your one guy to get all the first team reps, and that, in my opinion, that hurts your team, right? If you get a guy a whole month of first team reps. I think that does them a lot of good, especially when playing an opponent in the Big Ten like they're about to here in a couple of days. So that's what I think is going to be run heavy. They also have a lot of talent, the running back position, which we're all excited to see. The other storyline that I'm going to really keep my eyes on is how is Scotty Walden and this coaching staff, how are they going to keep the city engaged even if they start off rocky in those first 4 games, right? Scotty Walden's created an environment which I've never really seen before, but you play your hardest games are the first 4. So if you don't find a way to kind of captivate the city, even if you're losing, it's going to be rough for you. I've told the team myself. I've told guys on the team, is like, the media is not a problem. The city will leave you far before the media does.
It's true. I mean, and to be fair to the media side of things, I think the media has been generally positive when it comes to UTEP football, and just getting excited about this season. Now, to your point, how the city is going to respond to that. Real quick, because you just touched on something I don't want to gloss over, and that is the running back position. You just touched on it. You said, hey, I think they're going to favor more of the run game than the pass game. It's going to be led by Javon Jackson on the ground. So let's say that right away. He was named one of the captains for this UTEP football team. He's going to be the leader on the ground, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of Azell Jolly on Saturday, the redshirt freshman from Missouri City, Texas, who came onto the scene nicely in limited number of actually, didn't get a lot of playing time last year, but he, in his limited number of actual playing time, he found a way to be impactful and found a way to stand out to coaches. Don't forget about guys like Josh Dye. I liked him in the spring game. Maybe he gets a couple touches here and there. Marquez Taylor is going to be an interesting guy as well. He was kind of thought to be a minor back. Then he ends up being a straight up running back. And then the 2 minor backs, speaking of that position, the scat back / slot receiver / wide receiver, Cam Thomas, Corey Wren. Among those 2 guys, I expect the run game to be pretty interesting this entire season. Now, to your second point, Alberto, which was how is this city going to respond if this team hits some adversity? Well, it's going to be how they respond every year to that, right? They're going to get outlandish. They're going to say a lot of hot takes. They're going to be in. They're going to be out. They're going to be on a roller coaster ride. But my thought and my message to the fans out there is come October 3rd, forget the record, even if they're 0-4. Forget the record against Sam Houston, because in my opinion, that's really where the season starts. Conference play, the weekday action that is October, and then transitioning into November when you've got Kennesaw State and New Mexico State, both winnable games. But in my opinion, that's where the season really starts. So if I'm trying to give advice to the fans while also understanding how much hype has been with this team, the record can be what it is in September, but October is when it really gets started for me, Zay. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, we're talking about Scotty's first year here, but I'm looking at the schedule, and I have kind of, I have expectations. I want them to be really good at home, and I'm talking about these games at home are very, very winnable. And, if they lose more than 2, it's going to be like, okay, like, it's year one. I'm not going to get mad at it, but I'm expecting them to kind of show out at home, because I'm looking at these opponents, and you're talking about, the season starts in October, because it really does. It really does. So, Sam Houston, you got, who else are they playing at home?
Yeah, FIU.
Yeah, FIU. You have like these weekday games that you should be winning. So that for me, you talk about season starting, in October. Season starts at home for me. I'm expecting a lot at home from this team.
I like the concept of, hey, if you want to be a team that gets the fan base in on it, Sal, you got to beat Southern Utah, which is that home opener next week. And you and I know what happened in that first ever game with Dana Dimmel here at UTEP. They ended up dropping it to Northern Arizona 30-10. That was an FCS opponent that came in here and beat UTEP 30-10 in the first ever home game of the Dana Dimmel era. You can't let that take this final score away from it. Just point blank, you can't lose to an FCS team in your first game here at UTEP.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to build something. And Coach Walden was mentioning, kind of that foundation, so to speak, that you want to set, building a culture, building a program, not just the offense and whatnot. And it starts with these games like Southern Utah. And the reason why is when I think there's progression that takes place. You take on a Southern Utah to later on maybe get a Utah State at home or visit Utah State. All of these progressions where you want to kind of itch closer at one thing, but that's something you got to knock, out the park right away. And I agree with Zay. Looking at this home stretch, it's not tough at all. Just kind of breezing through it. Two of these teams that they are going to play at home, they beat on the road last year, Sam Houston and FIU. Middle is probably the toughest test that I look at when it comes to home games, but the other two, Kennesaw State, but first up, Southern Utah. So, hey, 4 out of 5 is on paper as of right now. With August 28th, it's completely doable.
Okay, Zay, I'm going to swing it back to you. Give us another storyline that we want to look at. Nebraska, UTEP. It's a 1:30 kickoff local time here in El Paso. What are some of the other storylines you're looking at?
I want to see how good this defense, can be, right? We're talking about expectations. I said expectations last time at home, but I have high expectations for this defense. And that's saying something, high expectations. I just want them to be, above the pack in Conference USA because I think they have the talents to be. I think that secondary is we talk about it a lot. They're really long. They're really tall. And, I'm going to say they're probably pretty athletic, So I'm looking at this defense and I'm saying how good can they really be? Because that's going to be probably, UTEP's calling point here is when things get tough in the season, maybe that offense isn't going the way you want it to. You're going to need your defense to step up.
Okay, Alberto, you give it to me on the defense. You tell me your thoughts on this defense right here.
Well, it's going to need to be great, especially like I said, the beginning is not easy. These are extremely difficult teams, and I'm also going to be interested, and we've said this before, is how are they going to be physically? How are they going to be able to react when and if the offense were to go 3 and out in about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you have gotten no rest? And are your secondary guys going to start playing, or what are you going to do? That's my question, and I guess another storyline that I'm kind of interested in is if this season were to start going rocky, how would that affect the class of 25 recruits, which you already have 16 of?
That's an interesting one. Okay, so that's a good one, too. Before we hit that storyline, Sal, you give us your thoughts on the defense.
Yeah, I'm interested to see these new positions that have been created.
You like the Bandit? You like the Spur?
The names are so cool, right? So if you're going off of name, it should be pretty sick. But I like what they mentioned right now. Hey, when it's a 3 and out, let's say it takes off maybe 30 seconds off of the clock. Now the offense is going right back out there, especially if Coach Walden is saying we're going to go fast on offense. Let's say incomplete pass, quick stop, or whatever the case is. Who knows? And the defense gets right back out there, and you need to rely on them multiple times. We've seen that movie time and time again under the last regime. So
very true.
I mean, hey, with the new staff and whatnot, obviously there's excitement, but some of these opponents that they're taking on are some of the same ones they've had trouble with over the years. So getting over those humps is going to be huge, and third down is going to be kind of that calling point for the Miners to kind of change that around.
My biggest issue, just on paper, I haven't seen this defense except the spring game, and I've seen the individuals, and I like them. I really like the returning players, and as far as the newcomers, I think they've got some great talent on defense. My biggest issue is the scheme. And that's just a personal thing. A 3-3-5. And, when you run a 3-3-5, it just, in my opinion, at UTEP, you lose a little bit of the size that you're going to get in the trenches with those 3 down linemen. I know they're going to rush Maurice Westmoreland every down, so it's going to feel more like a 4-3, but then let's call it a 4-3, right? When you have that 5th guy in your secondary, that hybrid type of player, it could end up being Dylan Williams, it could end up being Corey Chapman, whoever it ends up being, that guy has to serve as almost like a hard-hitting linebacker, safety, corner who can kind of do it all, on the field. He can defend the pass. He could stop the run. And when you look at some of the Xavier Smith numbers, Zay, I know he doesn't play that spur position, but he racked up a lot of tackles for losses last year. So if I have any optimism to being more favorable to the 3-3-5 scheme, you're going to have to give me the argument that this DB group is just really solid.
Yeah, and for me, I look at that. I look at that DB group, and I'm just looking at Corey Chapman because I'm guessing he's going to be that guy. He is a Spur. He's named the Spur on the roster, so he's going to be that guy that does everything. He's going to be in the box, making physical plays, kind of coming up from that safety position maybe, and he's also going to be the guy covering the slot, covering the tight end. He's going to be that guy, and a lot of this is going to go on Corey Chapman because he's a defensive captain at the end of the day, right? He's there with Maurice Westmoreland. So I have a lot of expectations for him. I'm all in on the Corey Chapman train.
Hey, Andre from DC is checking in. This is how the Scotty hype is different. MinerTalk on a Wednesday with the screaming emoji. We had to do it, Sal. We had to throw a little emergency MinerTalk pod and live radio show here on 600 ESPN El Paso. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of late on the train, to be honest, the way that college football's been going. But
true.
No, man, I think the timing on this one was perfect. People got to hear Coach Walden for one of the first times, I guess. I don't want to say publicly like that. There's no hindrance. But what I'm saying is an open platform and people going out there for a live broadcast too as well out at Dead Beach, which sounded awesome, by the way, over the years. I think it fit just right.
Okay, back to Alberto's other storyline. I thought it was a great one, okay? Let's talk about it right now. He talked about how this could impact, winning or losing, how this could impact recruiting here for the future for UTEP. And like Alberto said, they already have not a handful, more than a handful, almost a dozen of actual players who have already committed out of the class of 2025. Some of the guys I'm really impressed by. You could talk about guys like running back Elijah McCoy, who is a really stellar 3-star prospect in Texas. You could talk about a corner 3-star prospect in Grant Stewart. You could also talk about inside linebacker Kane Bowen, who's a 3-star prospect. All these guys have already verbally committed to playing here for UTEP. Zay, you know better recruiting than most. You tell us, how much does winning or losing impact recruiting here this season for UTEP, like Alberto was alluding to?
Yeah, it's a great storyline to follow because UTEP fans haven't had this many recruits this far in advance, in a class. So it's kind of tough, right? Because you're going to get people who are going to say, hey, when recruits don't care about the wins and losses at this point, right? It's really just about how much trust you have in that coach and how much, NIL, stuff like that, opportunities. But, I'd say since it's year one, it's Scotty Walden's first year, he's still setting down the ground, everything, the culture. It probably won't matter unless UTEP's going 0-12 and you're having, scandals off the field and, this is worst case scenario, then you're going to see a lot of decommitments. But honestly, if UTEP only wins 3 games, I don't see that really hurting their recruiting class in advance.
No, I think that with a group like this, by the way, I said like 12, it's 16 actually. Guys have already committed in the class of 2025. Probably while we were talking here, more guys committed. But out of this group, guys, it's interesting. Every single player who is committed, all 16 guys are all from the state of Texas. Yeah. Alberto, that tells you that this program right here, going back to your original storyline, they're committed to the state of Texas. So maybe if these relationships with these coaches are really deep and their relationships with these prospects are deep as well, they end up landing all these guys.
Yeah, it is kind of impressive the way they're all from Texas, and especially, and you mentioned this, is not from El Paso. None of these guys are from El Paso. They're all from Central Texas.
Good point.
So that's an area that I know UTEP hasn't necessarily dominated. So to see that happening in year one, that's great. And it just kind of shows you that what the team did, or what the coaching staff did at the beginning when they got here, which was go to every single high school, it kind of worked, right? It didn't kind of work. You have 16 commits to show for it. It's obviously working. And if you have good performances, especially at home like you're supposed to, it should only go up.
Okay, now let's be controversial when it comes to recruiting, right? Because I think there's 2 sides to this. I think there's the side that where, wow, 16 commits. That sounds pretty impressive. Even if they lose 1 or 2 of them, recruiting the state of Texas is great. Let's open up a can of worms right here. How many of these top-level El Paso prospects are UTEP going to land? And I'm talking about 4-star, soon-to-be prospect in Jake Fetty, quarterback out of Del Valle. Manny Fuller, who's already committed to Utah. This is his senior year here. Davion Singleton, who's uncommitted yet over at Chapin, athlete. We've got Chapin Zay, UTEP Zay in the house. We also have our boy Morales, Justin Morales, out at Franklin, offensive lineman, getting tons of Power 4 offers. Don't forget about TJ Laughlin, who holds a UTEP offer out of Canutillo. And don't forget about maybe the city's best player that no one's talking about, Eddie Carrillo, Lalo, over at Canutillo High School as well. So local recruiting is big for me. And who am I missing, Zay? I'm missing Ray Estrada. Who else am I missing?
I think that's it. You got
Estrada over at El Dorado for all the listeners. These are all guys with Power 4 offers, I should say, pretty much.
Yeah, and for me, I'm really looking at next year's class because I think this year's class, for El Paso, it's good. It's really good. But 2026, that's the class. That's the class you're looking at that has Jake Fetty, that has Estrada, that has Singleton. I could probably keep going because we're going to see more late bloomers this year. But, the class of 2026 is one that's loaded with prospects from El Paso. So that's really what I'm going to look at when Scotty's talking about we want to keep the best players in El Paso, in El Paso. I'm going to see if, they're able to do that because it's tough, right? It's tough. Some of these kids, they don't want to stay in El Paso. Some of these kids, they have, bad memories with UTEP. They're used to seeing UTEP going winless. So I really want to see how he delivers on that promise.
Okay, I want to hammer this one a little bit more with you. You're the high schooler of the group. You're the senior in high school right now at Chapin High School. What's the pulse on UTEP, like, just excitement in terms of the high school ranks? Like, from the players that you're around, from the people that you see, do people care? Is this something that's more desirable now of a product in UTEP football in El Paso high school circles than it was before?
Well, I'll say before, UTEP football was, and still is, it's continuously going to be disrespected by kids my age. And, they have good reason, too. You don't want your hometown team to be kind of the laughing stock of college football when UTEP was, right? They're going winless. They're only getting one win. So, these kids, they really don't care about UTEP football. But I will say, around the people that I'm around and, the players that I'm around, everything, it's gotten a little bit more respected. There's more respect for Scotty Walden. There's more respect for the program as a whole. And that's before, they've even stepped foot on the football field. So,
okay.
Once wins come, kids are going to love UTEP. But once, until then, you're really not going to have a lot from them.
Okay, I like it. Let's go more storylines. Alberto, you swing it. I'll swing it your way. Give us another storyline to follow for UTEP, Nebraska, here come Saturday.
I guess, I've been thinking about this one, okay? And it's, I don't know necessarily if it's a storyline or just like a hot take opinion, I think personally is we're more likely to see 3 quarterbacks against Nebraska than one.
Oh, Sal, I got to bring you in on this.
Wow.
This is a great storyline right here. Zay has to be hosed down because Shea Smith being on the football field sounds very, very interesting if you know UTEP football. Sal, what are your thoughts?
Man, you know what? That might not be too far-fetched.
It might not.
And the reason why they're going to Big Ten country, it's the first game of the year. Nebraska's returning, a bunch of talent on their side. Their fans are eager. They're looking at this. They're looking at UTEP as a home game, like UTEP is looking at Utah State. Maybe even less than that for Nebraska. Let's just be real about it. So if it's a blowout and it's 20, 30 something or whatever going into halftime, they'll put in second string and let's say the lead widens up even more. Bring out the third stringer. Why not?
Yeah, maybe so, right? I owe everybody out there, I owe Shea Smith the biggest apology because I don't know if I thought he was a quarterback, guys, before he came onto the scene this spring. Worked out with the team kind of voluntarily in the spring and then really joined the group in the summer. And his acceleration and growth, his impact that he's made, it's felt among the players on the team. Like, they all shout out Shea Smith. He was, voted to the Unity Council as the only freshman guy to be voted on this group. And what that means, I don't know. But what it tells me is this program, this coaching staff, is committed to Shea Smith as a quarterback. If you ask the right person, Alberto, some people out there will say Shea Smith has the highest upside of any freshman on UTEP football, period, bar none.
Wow.
Yeah. I've been hearing a lot of different things, and that's why I kind of have this feeling, right, that we might see more than just the one quarterback out in Nebraska. So I'll definitely be interested to see how they handle the game, especially if it starts to get away from them as we think it might. But yeah, I've been hearing that Shea Smith is turning heads in what he's doing with the team, and guys of all ages are really impressed.
Zay, give us the Shea Smith thoughts.
Yeah, you talk about whether you were convinced or not on Shea being a quarterback. I remember when, we covered a game. I don't even remember what game it was. I think it was Pebble Hills in Americas, and you guys did play-by-play football Friday night. Well, there was the game before at the SAC. It was Franklin versus Eastlake. It was the 4:30 game. I remember getting there thinking Eastlake was going to beat Franklin because Franklin had, basically their JV squad out there besides Shea Smith. And, Shea Smith...
Because of injuries?
Yeah, he put the team on his back. And I just remember seeing that. I was like, you know what? That's a quarterback. This guy is a quarterback. He has it. He has that it factor. So, yeah, I want to see him. Hopefully we do see him,
I had no reservations that he was a winning player. I had no reservations that he's a Division I and maybe even a Power 4 caliber type of player. I had thoughts and questions on could he be that quarterback? And the reason why we're spending so much time on this is Shea Smith is the son of Paul Smith, who obviously started for the Miners, played in the NFL, and Shea played varsity football at Franklin for 4 seasons and played every single down those 4 seasons practically. But this past year, the whole team was decimated. Franklin missed the postseason, and Shea Smith was like Iron Man on that team. The game that stands out to me is the West Side Bowl. They had no business being in that game. They had a lot of injuries in that game, and they still managed to pull it out just because of Shea Smith. He just Iron Man that game. They threw it back playing like 1940s wing tee football out of the shotgun basically, and they were just going 12 personnel just running the ball with Shea Smith as the lead guy. So with that game, I was beyond impressed. And if you're telling me his arm strength and his arm just period and his passing abilities have improved, then I'm in on that storyline. Sal, we're going to swing it over to you. Give us a storyline, maybe a fun one, maybe an off the field thing that we're not talking about yet as we get ready here for the season.
Oh, the mine shaft.
Okay.
The reemergence of the mine shaft, that's going to be something to look forward to, especially if steam starts picking up, because mine shaft with Mike Price was one of the fun things early on when he got here and it was brand new. Maybe could kind of kick off that energy, and another thing too, it's completely different. But you mentioned like the highest upside of anybody that people believe for a true freshman. I think I'm going to go with Jalen Jones.
I like Jalen Jones a lot.
Man.
I'm a big fan of his. He's going to be playing some football this year. Maybe they don't even redshirt him. The redshirt rule means that you can play 4 games and appear in 4 games without burning that redshirt. So you could still be a redshirt player and not have that. But you know what? If you've got a talent like Jalen Jones, why not just throw him out there? The Beaumont, Texas, Westbrook High School product. Throw him out there if he's ready to go. 6'4", 210. When you need Maurice Westmoreland to get some rest, throw in a little Jalen Jones and see if you can get a little action out of him for the pass rushing role. So I like that storyline right there. As far as the mine shaft goes, I just want to say this. Did anybody forget that Dana Dimmel sometimes came down the mine shaft sometimes, right? Like it was not consistent. I think they never really made a real big deal out of it. I think this was maybe year 2 or 3, and they tried to bring some excitement and create some awareness around this one, but I feel like it wasn't as popularized as it's being right now. Am I the only one who's misremembering this one here, Zay?
Yeah, I remember him coming out a couple times, but it's been a while. I don't think he came out in the 2021 season.
I don't think he had the pickaxe.
Yeah, it was I want to say it was a little boring, right? Because the band was there; they were going through the band, and it was a little lame, right?
It was very watch your step going down, guys.
You don't like the band next to the mine shaft, Zay?
Oh, don't even get me started on. I have so many I love the band themselves. I think they make great music, make the atmosphere great. I hate that they're by the mine shaft. That you can't nothing, right? It's so cool when players are interacting with the fans. They're blocking the mine shaft and they're taking up 2 sections to make the Sun Bowl look full. They're all spread out like it's 2020.
Right, social distancing.
I don't like it. When NMSU's band came and they were all compact, it just looks nicer. It's more satisfying to me.
Okay, Alberto, any thoughts? Final thoughts?
They do that thing where they spread them out to make them look like it's more full. But where would you move them? Ideally, where would you put the band? Just same space, just make them less spaced out?
Yeah, I just make them more compacted. Make them look like they look in the video game. They look nice in College Football 25.
I like that. That's funny. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. 915-505-6009. Esteban checks into the program. From what Esteban heard on the coach's show, both quarterbacks will start throughout the season at 600 ESPN El Paso. Joe Chacon, he's checked in with a ton of tweets. I'm not going to read the one where he predicts UTEP to beat Nebraska. Just not going to do it. But I will read this one. So good to have the family back together again. Let's get this. Hashtag repping from Colorado now. Hashtag Adrian is my brodus. Hashtag Sal is my pal. Hashtag Zay all the way. No Alberto hashtag. Sorry, Alberto. I don't know. Joe Chacon needs to get used to you, okay? So, but he does say, down goes the Giant and upset City. Snappy trades. MinerTalk is exactly what we needed tonight. Thank you, guys. 28-21. Miners with the upset. Oh, man. Fight me. Why won't it happen? It won't happen because UTEP's 0-37 all time against Power 5, Power 4 teams. All time. They've only beat Ole Miss at the Sun Bowl. Coincidentally enough, the last time UTEP's ever won a bowl game, 1967. Guys, UTEP doesn't do well against powers. When they come here to El Paso, maybe you can you could flirt with the idea of an upset victory, but on the road, guys, in a hostile environment, Big Ten environment, first game for Dylan Raiola, first game for Matt Rule this season with a ton of expectations after going 5-7 last year. Sal, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, no, it's just a lot to really look at, and this is kind of a tune-up for Nebraska. You know, when they're looking at it on their schedule, so they have this one marked on it, but they know they're looking forward to the rest of the year. So maybe UTEP can sneak in and kind of catch them by surprise. But we saw what happened the last time they went to Big Ten country against the team that we thought they had a good chance against.
Yeah. I mean, they hung in 7-7 half, and then Northwestern blew them out in the second half, 38-7. You know?
And with your, as you mentioned, your dislike of the 3-3-5, let's see how that plays well. Those Big Ten teams are really physical, so it'll be interesting to see the response.
Okay, swinging it back to you, Zay. Give us another storyline here as we get ready for the 2024 season.
Yeah, for me, I just want to see, how Scotty Walden and his staff and his players, how are they going to deal with that environment, right? How are they going to deal with, what is that? Teicher said on the broadcast, it's most sellouts, consecutively in college football ever. They love football over there in Nebraska, and how are they going to deal with that environment? Game one, new quarterback, new system possibly, if it's Cade starting, and even if it's not, if it's Locklear starting, it's still a new team, right? You're going to have, the jitters, everything. So I want to see how they respond to that, because it's not impossible for, a small team to at least compete with Nebraska, right? Because Georgia Southern just 2 years ago beat Nebraska in Nebraska. I'm not saying UTEP's going to win. I just want to see, how they, respond to that crowd, because it's going to be rocking. It's Matt Rule's second year. You have your quarterback. This is the year for Nebraska. So, the fans are going to be excited.
Okay. Alberto, we're starting to wind down here on the show. Any other final storylines you're getting ready to look toward here on Saturday?
I guess this is more of just a season one. Is Maurice Westmoreland finishes with how many sacks?
Ooh.
The single season record at UTEP is 11.
Okay, so 7.5 is what he had last year.
Amayule?
No, the record is held by Melvin Besses in 1979.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Good little nugget there, Alberto. I'll go under 7.5. I say 6 is a number there for Maurice Westmoreland. Don't forget, guys, when you break out in a big season, everybody's got your name circled. So he's going to face a ton of double teams this year. I asked him about this season, or this, in this offseason. He felt confident about how he's adjusting to it. But I'm going to go a little under of what he had last year, which was an ultra productive season. I'm going to go 6 sacks. Zay, what about you?
Yeah, I'll go 8 sacks, but I think that he makes a lot of noise, with tackles and TFLs. I think that's where he makes his money.
Okay, Sal.
What was the over-under again?
I was saying 7.5 was
7.5?
last year, is what he had last year.
You know what? I'm kind of on par with Zay. I'll say under, but there's going to be a lot of tackle for losses, and he'll get a lot of hype around him, similar to Tyrese Knight, just a tackling machine and being reliable on defense. You mentioned the double teams that'll come his way. That's definitely going to be in the mix, especially when you're the star on a defense. People are going to try and zero in on you, no pun intended. But yeah, he's going to be he's going to get his numbers, but unfortunately, he won't get the sacks.
Okay, this next award for everybody. Everybody's got to think of a player here. This next award is called our Atiq Muhammad Award, which is given and awarded to a player that we have an absolute infatuation with for no reason, absolutely no reason whatsoever, other than we fall in love with the prospect of the player that this guy could be eventually, could be in the future. So maybe somebody who isn't necessarily a starter, isn't necessarily like a routine guy, but this is what we're doing this one on the fly here. So I'm going to go with, one guy and one name that I think, people are getting a little bit excited about, but I think they haven't heard a lot of, and this is just going to come out of left field a little bit. Ashton Emery, Rockwell High School. He's a 5'10" running back out of Dallas in the Metroplex area. Ashton Emery, he's going to be my Atiq Muhammad. I'm falling in love with this guy as a prospect type of guy. He's my guy here. Alberto, do you have a player who you're looking to who could possibly make a little bit of a surprise this season here for UTEP football?
Yeah, I hate to be repetitive, but I think for me it's going to be Shea Smith.
Okay. I like it. No. Good stuff. Sal, any names here that you're going to throw out there?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with this name based off of the name alone.
Yes. Say it.
Logo.
Logo
I'm all
Va.
in.
I'm a big Logo Va fan. I can go 3 hours on Logo. I'm a fan.
Especially if they're going to be switching guys in and out as much as possible. The defense might be just as fast paced as their offense is, and I know that the opposing offense might dictate it a bit. But if it's anything like it, give me Logo.
Logo first came onto the scene last year as on the defensive line against UNLV. 4 tackles. I remember seeing his name everywhere, and that disappointing. And I mean utterly disappointing UNLV loss last year. Logo Va was one of the brighter spots of that team. And he finished last year with 13 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, a quarterback hurry in 9 games last season. So Santa Barbara, California, 305 is what he's listed as, and 6'3 for Logo Va. Zay, you close us out.
Yeah, I feel like, I do a lot of digging on this team, so nobody's going to even know. You guys aren't even expecting this name.
Who's your Atiq Muhammad
and
award winner?
Since Atiq didn't really, he didn't see the field due to an injury last year, but, he didn't really see the field a lot. This guy probably won't see the field a lot either because he is a project player. And I'm saying this because he really is. I think Scotty even said it during the signing day. He's a freshman. His name is Elijah Baldwin from John Jay High School. Talk about, athletes from John Jay High School. Shout out Derek Onyema.
That's right, yeah.
Wow.
But, he's a 6'7" defensive end from John Jay High School. It says he's 230 pounds, but, in the picture he looks about 215, and he has arms longer than, Jonathan Dos Anjos. I mean, this guy played basketball. He had offers to go, collegiate in basketball. He played 1 year of football off the edge.
I'm jealous of this
and
pick.
This guy, I watched his basketball highlights. This guy is insane. I mean, hey, does basketball still need another scholarship? Because this could be your guy. This could be your guy. This is the big man that Joe Golding needs, Too bad he's going to be playing football, rushing the passer, because in a couple of years, this guy can be insane. The athleticism that he has, the untapped potential that he has. I mean, he's kind of the perfect guy for the Atiq Muhammad Award, I think.
Yes, he is. You got it to the T. Zay wins the crown on this one right here.
Zay wins the award.
6'7", 230, but he looks like, you're right, I've seen this guy before. 31. I'm going to keep a big time eye out for him. San Antonio zone, Elijah Baldwin, like you said, may not see the field this year. This is the perfect personality for this one, Zay. You nailed it. 6'7". just an absolute freak of an athlete right there. On paper, played basketball like you mentioned. Sal, you know what? This is the one right here. I love this one. Elijah Baldwin.
I love it too. And if our excitement for these players is anything like the progression will be, it's kind of a shame that it's a 3-3-5 if there's only 3 defensive linemen when you have all these monsters who are out there, on your roster. So joking, obviously, but man, that's perfect. I was looking at the basketball stats: 9.4 rebounds a game and 11 plus when it comes to scoring. A walking double-double. Aaron Jones 2.0, so to speak. Football and basketball. Let's go.
Maybe. Little Alvin Jones? Because he played on defense?
That's right.
Maybe so. Esteban checks in. The Miners almost upset Texas Tech on the road not so long ago. I remember at home they had Texas Tech on the wire. I think that's the one he means. Or on the ropes, I should say.
I know they played him close a while back, but this is probably when Harrell was still quarterback. I was listening to that game on the radio. That was a close one, but yeah. I think it was that one. Let me see.
I'm going to go back and do some digging on that one right there because that's interesting. At Texas Tech, against Patrick Mahomes, UTEP lost 69-20 in 2015. Did you guys know that? I didn't really know that number right there. I remember the game. I didn't really remember them destroying them that badly. At home, UTEP lost to Texas Tech 30-26 in 2014. That's the season UTEP went to a bowl game under Jameel Showers at quarterback. So an interesting nugget there as well. But that's at least what I'm seeing right here, and that's 10 years ago, Esteban. So I
found it. It was in. And I'm going back early to recent, so maybe there's another one after that. But I'm looking from 2007. And, yeah, Graham Harrell was the quarterback. Michael Crabtree was
there you go.
That's why they lost. Yeah, and did they have Amendola as well?
The Claw, probably.
Man, what a nasty team that was for Texas Tech.
Okay, snappy trades. At the end of the day, the most important thing that we need to do is sell out the game the following week, regardless of what happens at Nebraska. An electric 46,000 fans will show the team they appreciate and support them. #MinerTalk. All right. Okay, guys. I think we're kind of winding it down here on the show, and I think we had a good one here. Any final thoughts? UTEP takes on Nebraska Saturday. We will be live out after the district, 3233 North Mesa, to come out and join us for the watch party. 1 o'clock is my recommended time to get there, but we'll kick everything off 1:30, having some great prizes, great giveaways, and then we'll be back here out here, 600 ESPN El Paso for Miner Talk, presented by Jack in the Box. Sal, final thoughts?
Yeah, just a lot of excitement for it. A lot of questions will be answered, but at the same time, a lot of questions will be unanswered because what are they going to hold back from the Nebraska game that they can use come conference play? And another question, or a question I want to ask you guys is, who scores the first touchdown for the Miners?
First touchdown scorer of the Scotty Walden era. I'll go Trey Goodman.
Ooh, I like that. All right. How about you, Alberto?
I'll go Javon Jackson.
Okay, good. That's the betting favor right there. He's like minus 160, and then I get some good odds for Trey Goodman at plus 250. Zay, where are you going?
I want to be like really different here. I want to be like so different. You guys will look at me. Man, I'm gonna say Cam Thomas.
Okay, Cam Thomas says checking it at plus 500 in the mock. First touchdown scorer prop bet here on Miner Talk. Sal, who are you going for?
I'm gonna go out of left field. Are you ready?
Yes.
Give me Judah Ezenwa.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know why.
All right, Judah. He's like at. You can get him at plus 2,000 right now.
Yeah. No, it's very out of left field. But if there's a lot of creativity on this offense, tight ends need the ball too, and I think it'll be his.
Okay, Memo checks in. The line is 27.5 points. Thoughts, Alberto? You taking the points?
I would take the points. Yeah.
You would. You like UTEP covering 27.5.
To lose by less than 27.5?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
I hope it's.
Wow.
I want it to be close.
Okay, Zay.
In 2 weeks, Zay Galindo is going to actually care about this. Zay Galindo is actually going to.
Betting ages is 21, isn't it?
Oh, it's 21? I thought it was 18, man. That's the only reason I was excited to turn 18, honestly. I was ready to quit 600 ESPN El Paso and just become a full-time bettor.
Oh, man. Yeah, 21, my
gosh.
friend.
So
Wait
I
a
guess
couple years.
2 weeks and 3 years. I'll care.
We can get you some lottery tickets. Don't worry, dude.
Let's
We
do
got
that.
you. We
Yeah.
got you on some lottery tickets. Sal, what do you think?
You said over under, right?
Yes. 27.5 points. 4 touchdowns. Can they cover 4 touchdowns?
No.
No, I'm going no.
No, I'm sorry.
No, guys,
I
come
love
on.
it.
Come on, guys. No. This is not going to happen.
I'm sorry for wasting your time while I was thinking about it.
No. It's just not going to happen. I got 42-10. That's my final prediction right there. Nebraska wins. Let's see. I think the over-under right now for UTEP points on their offense should be 13.5, and I'd go under, right? Just right now because there's uncertainty offensively. So I'll go slightly under there. Yeah, that's kind of where I land there on that thought. Let's go over to you, Alberto, as far as Joe Rod checking in now. He's asking, all right, what about over under total points? Now let's talk total points, okay? So Joe Rod says the over all the way at 49.5. So he's saying that total points will go over 49.5 in this matchup between UTEP and Nebraska. You going over and under that total points?
I'm going way over.
I think over. I'll go over in that too. Zay?
What was it? It was 49.5?
49.5.
Yeah, I'll go over.
Alberto?
I'll go over. There's a chance Nebraska puts a 50 burger on us alone.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I agree on that completely. I going back over to you, Alberto. Give me some final thoughts here. Winding it up here. Getting ready for Saturday.
We're all excited. We're all extremely excited. Disappointed, obviously, with the lack of the announcement today. But I mean, obviously, like I said, I wasn't expecting it. A lot of people were. It made the most sense. The time was right. The time was perfect. The thing is, I think he probably got blindsided with it. Right? He probably didn't have time to tell the guys or his team. So I guess we're ready to see who trots out that first offensive go and see who's QB1. Something we've been waiting for since December, which I don't think it should have taken that long.
Okay. By the way, big shout out to Joe Rod. He's going to be helping us a lot during MinerTalk throughout the season, so I like that a lot. Joe Chacon says UTEP football covers the 27.5 points. Okay, I'm going to go that they don't cover it.
Do we know who the starting quarterback is by the time that or do we find out who the quarterback is in the pregame interview?
Yes. I think we already know by then. Yes, I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I'm going to say yes. Zay, give us your final thoughts. Give us your final thoughts ahead of Nebraska.
I'm ready for college football to be back. That's my final thoughts is, win or lose, I'm just happy college football is back. I'm happy MinerTalk is back. I'm happy I'm back with you guys. And, I guess one more ick. It really doesn't even have anything to do with Nebraska, UTEP, is we were talking about sellouts in the Sun Bowl. And it just made me realize how ugly of a number 45,971 is. That's the ugliest for the Sun Bowl capacity. It was so much prettier when it was 51,500. It looked cooler. It was better. Now that it's 45,971, why add the extra one? Why can't it just be 409?
I got an idea, guys. Extra club seats, 33,000 as the final capacity. How
about
shout out to Aaron
threes?
Jones.
Threes all the way.
Yeah, why not, man? 3. I think it could work. It's funny. That's funny. 45, not a little bit of an ick of a number. I think it's good. Good stuff there, Zay. I'm so happy that we're back. I appreciate all our listeners. We never take our listeners for granted here on MinerTalk. We love doing this show. This is This is like more of a passion project for us than anything else, and we just really, really appreciate all of the people listening. We've got a lot of people checking in right now, like Joe, Snappy Trades, Joseph Ortiz, Joe Chacon, Andrew Texas, who, by the way, big shout out to Andrew. He's a super nice guy. Got a chance to meet him last year, and I really, really enjoyed meeting him. Anthony from earlier, Esteban. So, yeah, but all the other MinerTalk listeners out there, the regulars who we always hear, throughout the season here on MinerTalk. This show gets heated. We're going to hear from parents. We're going to hear from, maybe some burners and stuff like that as well throughout the year. But other than that, I mean, man, I'm just so happy to be back in action, back with all you guys, and really here for the listeners, because this show only beats as our listeners go, and as far as them chiming into this conversation. But we do this because, we love doing this here on this radio station, and we're going to continue to do it. So until Saturday, we'll say so long for Sal Montes, for Zé Galindo, for Alberto Reta. I'm Adrian Broadus. We are signing off in our first edition before we get ready for the real one, Miner Talk, presented by Jack in the Box here on 600 ESPN El Paso.